All right, so today we're going to do 7.4, which is complex fractions, and I'm going to show you a strategy that I think you may learn to love as much as I do, called extremes over means. And you can use this for any ratio that has a fraction in it. So this could have worked for some of them we had yesterday, but I would also like you to know that to cancel fractions, you can multiply by the denominator and cross cancel. So both methods are useful in different situations, so let's learn them all, right? All right, so a recipe calls for 3/4 cup of dry milk powder to make 6 dog biscuits. How many cups of milk powder do you need per dog biscuit? So this is our kind of our clue word. So we're going to do milk powder per dog biscuit for our ratio. So we need 3/4 of a cup per 6 dog biscuits. So here's how extremes over means works. I would write down the name of this because the name tells you what to do. So when we talk about extremes, we are talking about the numbers that are the farthest away from our fraction bar. Remember, fraction is just a big division problem. It's just another way of writing division. So what I need to do before I can use extremes over means method is I need to make sure that both terms of my ratio are written as a fraction. Obviously 3/4 is, but 6 I'm going to put over 1 so that I have fraction over fraction. Now I can look at the extremes, or the numbers that are farthest away from the fraction bar. That would be my 3 and my 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply them. And I'm literally going to put extremes over the means. So my extremes go on the top and my means go on the bottom. My means then are these two numbers closest to the fraction bar. They're kind of in the middle. So I'm going to take these two numbers and multiply them. 4 times 6 is 24. And I've literally taken my extremes and I've put the product of those over the product of my means. Now I just have a fraction to simplify to lowest terms, which would be 1/8. So I need 1 cup of milk powder per 8 dog biscuits. All right, let's try that again on the second problem. Your dog eats 7/8 pounds of food in 4 meals. How much food does your dog eat per meal? So I'm going to do food per meal. So 7/8 pound of food per 4 meals. I want to use extremes over means because it's so easy and I can usually do it in my head. But first I need to make the second term of my ratio a fraction. So I'm going to put it over 1. Now I can do my extremes, my numbers farthest away from the fraction bar. 7 times 1 is 7. I'm going to put that over my means, these numbers closest to my fraction bar, and the product of these. That's the only trick, is to remember it's the product of the extremes over the product of the means. So 8 times 4 is 32. Now I have a fraction that is already in lowest terms, so I am done. My dog eats 7 pounds of food per meal. Let's suppose our dog eats 7/8 pound of food in 4 meals. We want to know how many meals it will take for my dog to eat 1 pound of food. So here's what I'm essentially doing. I'm trying to find a unit rate, right? Because I want to know how many meals it takes before my dog has eaten 1 pound. So as I write my equivalent ratio over here, I need to put 7/8 pounds on the bottom because I'm going to turn pounds, 7/8 of a pound, into 1 pound. So I'm going to put 4 meals on the top. That way I have set up a proportion that shows pounds to pounds, meals to meals. So I'm asking myself, how can I turn 7/8 into 1 pound. And I know that I can take 7/8 and I can divide it by 7/8, or I can multiply it by 8/7. And here's why both of those work. If I take the same number and divide it by itself, 2 divided by 2, 4 divided by 4, 20 divided by 20, I always get 1. So I could do 7/8 divided by 7/8 to get 1. The trick is when I try to do that same thing up top, it's a little trickier to remember how to divide a fraction. So I could also multiply by the reciprocal, which is what I'm going to choose to do, because multiplying by the reciprocal will turn 7/8 into a 1. So if I do that on the bottom, I have to do that on the top. So I really have 4 times 8/7. 4 times 8 is 32. And 1 times 7 is 7. So then I find that my dog eats 32/7 meals before he's eaten 1 pound. That's how many meals it takes for him to eat 1 pound of food. However, I have no idea what 32/7 meals looks like. So let's make this into an improper fraction so that it will make more sense. So 7 will go into 32 4 times. 7 times 4 is 28. That gives us 4 leftovers, and I keep my denominator. So we could say 4 4/7 meals for 1 pound of food. And that's pretty impressive. Our dog is not eating a whole lot of food if he's eating almost 5 meals before he eats 1 pound of food. This must be a really tiny dog.